Everyone wants more money, but most of us weren't taught how to create an abundant life. That's where the law of attraction, manifesting success stories show comes in. If you are ready to have more money, create more freedom, and experience more fun, turn the volume up. It's time to learn how to create the prosperity and life you have been dreaming of. Here's your host, Cassie Parks.
Hello and welcome to this episode. I am your host, Cassie Parks, and I am back with Jeanne Andres, the Menopause Guru, for her 17th interview in the Years of Growth series. Welcome, Jeanne.
Hey, Cassie, how are you? I can't believe it's 17 of these.
I know. I am fantastic. I'm so excited to talk to you today. First and foremost, how has your future self been showing up?
We're recording this in September, which is Menopause Awareness Month, and my world is all about menopause. So I decided to give my fans, my followers, my friends a little gift and do some massive education this month. So I have been recording and writing and recording a series of Facebook posts every day for the month. And my future self just shows up every morning when I'm ready to write. She shows up and says, here's what we're writing today. And I can't believe some of the content that's coming out. She knows her stuff.
She does know her stuff. I love it. I love it. So what's the best thing or the most awesome thing about all that?
I think the best thing about it is the gift that I'm giving the people who need to hear it. I know that every day that it's going out that someone needs to hear exactly. I sat down, and wrote 31 topics out, and I know that somebody needs to hear that stuff every day. And I'm getting an amazing collection of content that's going to be good for all kinds of stuff down the road, and it's really helping me think about some of these topics in more depth. So that was a really long, complicated answer.
So what's the difference? So you mentioned I'm sure that all of our listeners have heard this, but we back up an interview and we were talking about, I had a line in the write-up that says you learned how to, settle your own growth temper tantrums. And the call before that was really, it was a live coaching session. And
Right.
So in the last 60 to 90 days, there's been this big shift happening. And so when you say I know somebody needs to hear it, how is that different? Is that different than before? Did you know before somebody needed to hear it?
So I think the way this is different for me is that I don't see it so much as a selling tool and there would have been a time in my career when I would have said, well, geez, I haven't gotten anybody to do this or do that or whatever. But I really feel like by putting out what people need to hear, the people who need to hear it are going to react to it in the way that they need to, in the way that will create growth in my business and growth in my ability to influence people's lives.
Which is total future self, because your future self is the menopause guru who is all about education and changing the way that the world, women in particular going through it, view menopause and the journey through that.
Yes, exactly.
Awesome. So how do you feel? What's different? Because there was a lot of resistance to putting things out in the past, I would say. Would you agree?
Yes, and I won't say that it's particularly easy every day when I get up and if I'm behind, especially if I don't have enough stuff written for the day and I'm writing almost as I'm going. I've got everything lined out. I know everything that I want to put out to people.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a matter of stepping into my future self and knowing that she knows what to say, and then to step out of the way of that in a way.
Yeah.
So when I read it and I say, oh, that's not her, being able to step back and say, here, write this for me. I'll tell you, right. And it's funny because we've done that before, you and I together. I'll dictate something and you'll write it for me, because my brain was, if I let my brain go to that space, if I let my heart and my mind and my everything go, spirit go to that place of my future self, sometimes it's hard to write, but it's fun because I'm getting better at letting her do the writing and then reading and saying, oops, missed that, go back, delete something out. I got too sciencey, I got too deep into explanations that my clients don't need to hear yet. And so it's fun to be at the point where 70 to 80% of what I'm writing is coming out of my future self, as opposed to when you and I started, everything was coming out of my brain, out of my figure it out brain.
Yes. So everything in the beginning was coming out of your figure it out brain. Now, like 80% is coming from your future self, which your future self is like she's even more of an expert than you, right? Maybe she doesn't have any more knowledge base around menopause because you pretty much, other than the things that have come out in the 5 years from now, right?
Right.
But you know that, right? You know it all. But go ahead.
I was going to say, and the interesting thing is, like, there was something that sort of showed up the other day was, I had pulled out a topic that I wanted to talk about, because there's women using hormone replacement therapy are using the same hormones that somebody using birth control is. And so that question had gotten into my brain, and so I went out and researched it, and I learned something new, but I didn't feel like I had to put out all of that into the work I was doing right now. So yeah, I will continue to learn things, but I think it's fabulous to be able to put that out in a way that makes sense to the people who hear it.
Yes. And by tapping into your future self, you are tapping into the version of yourself who nails that, who's done it for years.
Right. And it's so much fun to be close to that. I don't know. I wouldn't say that I'm there all the way, but it's a whole lot easier now than it was. So about a year ago, you and I started working a little differently. I think you remember when I had to write something, and everything I was writing was coming out in this super analytical, super science persona that sometimes takes over my thinking. And so you and I started working together. So I would talk it out, and then you would come back to me and say, this doesn't sound like her. This doesn't sound like the person who's writing to this person. And it's taken a long time. It feels like it. But over the course of that time, I have started learning to hear my clients, what they need to hear. And so it's a lot less, I can do it myself now.
Yes.
Mommy, I can do it all by myself.
Yes, which is amazing, right? Because you're able to create all this content. There's no way a year ago, I think we actually started that maybe a little closer to it. Well, maybe it was a year ago, but there's no way a year ago that you could have put out this much content and information.
Huge amount of content.
Yeah. And support, because like if I had to look at it and help you with every single thing, which, is happy to do, but it's all been part of the process of learning, like, okay, how do we write emails, just 5 of them a month that go to her, and you being open and willing to go, okay, you're right, that's not her. And so when someone else, like me, is able to say, no, that's not her, that's her, it's really, and tell me if you agree with this or not, it's allowed you to start to hear the difference, because you're not trying to do it all. You're not trying to hear her and write it and do all these things. What you learn is a feeling inside when it's her and when it's speaking to her future clients.
Yes. And I think the other thing is, I mean, I won't say I haven't probably written twice what I've actually put out there, because I've taken stuff out that's just
Right.
not, it's good stuff.
Right.
It's important stuff, but it's not, she doesn't need to hear it where she is. And learning to understand where she is and what she needs to know first has been just tremendously helpful.
I love it. And I can't even believe that we didn't start with this, but I want to talk about this in this whole process, is you recently recorded 4 TV segments.
Yes.
4.
4 on the same day.
Yeah. And for what? Like, tell us what they were, tell us the show, just give us a little background about that.
So we have a local station here, which is probably the biggest station in New Orleans, called WWL. And they have a program right after the morning news called Great Day Louisiana, which is a lifestyle program. And in June, they were doing brides. So they did, every day they did brides. And I was thinking,
Hold on, I want to go through this from the very beginning.
Oh, okay.
So you had 4 episodes, right?
So again, let's go back a little bit further then.
Yeah. I
got invited by a friend of mine to go down and be part of her talk on, she's a teacher of pottery. She teaches at a local arts high school, and she has classes for adults in the summer. And she invited me to come down and be part of her segment. And so when I did that, I took the opportunity to reach out to the producer of the show and talk to her a little bit about what I did, and let her know that if I could help her in preparing any segments that she might need about menopause, that I would be more than willing to do that. And then when Menopause Awareness Month, which is September, came around, I reached out to her and I said, do you know that it's Menopause Awareness Month? And here's a list of topics that you might want to consider for your listeners. And I deliberately put in some topics that I knew I was not the best person to talk about, because I wanted them to feel like they could either include me, find somebody else, come back to me and ask if I knew anyone, whatever. And so a week and a half ago, the show reached out to me and said, we want to do 4 segments from the list that you gave us, and here's what they are. And they actually reached out to 2 other people and found people for 2 other days.
Which is awesome.
Yeah, I thought so.
So I want to go back, and I want to just pinpoint for our listeners, like, each LOA part. And then I want to talk about the thing that came up in the middle of this thing. So first, it was 100%. Well, even the pottery, like doing the pottery, I feel like was somehow orchestrated, had a connection to your future self. Like, it was doing other things, because somebody who has a successful business enjoys other things, right?
Oh my gosh, and I love it, by the way.
Yes, right? And it was finding that place to love, and also which had a lot of learning. So that in itself, which was a year or 2 years ago,
This
was
was my second year of,
this.
of working with Nikki.
That's what I thought. So
Yeah.
yeah, so it's 2 years, but your future self is always setting you up. And so many people want the thing now. They're like, I want to set an intention and I want to be on TV next week. And that's cool and that can happen. However, if all of the other stuff isn't in place, and if anyone's ever heard my story about manifesting, being on a radio show and selling one book, like because all the other stuff wasn't in place, you understand this. But what happened is your future self started putting multiple pieces in place at once. It said, like, okay, like I'm going to have you be attracted. I'm going to show you this opportunity to be more of your future self by engaging in pottery and something that you love, that's creative, that's outside your business, and be the person who has the time to do that. And I'm going to put you on the path to learn how to write to your future people. Right. And so you've been learning for this year and a half, 2 years that we've been working on this process. How do I speak to them? And what you've also been doing is you've been setting yourself up for easy success. So we've been setting Jeanne's business up to just run, like the marketing part, just run, so that when she has these opportunities to get on TV, people can jump on her website, they can connect where they need to, they can get the help for the symptom that they want, and then they can be guided down a path to trust her and be given an opportunity to work with her further. And so all that is done. Right? There's emails that come out when somebody gets on your list now from when these segments air that will go on for a long time. And I think you actually made something special for them as well. And then it was like, let me give you the opportunity to get on TV. Your future self orchestrates that, and you get to say a hello. And then you had this huge inspired action of, and this is like in July. September is menopause month. Like, I should put together all of these topics and send them to the news person, right?
Right.
And you didn't hear anything until a week ago, right?
No, it was sort of like I put it out there and I got nothing back. And I said, okay, well, whatever. And
Yes.
I think I came up to you and I said, should I follow up? And you said, just let it percolate. And they came back with, we want to do these 3 segments plus 1 just on your book.
Yes, which is awesome. And just for our listeners, let it percolate and keep being your future self, which means let them be doing what they do and you keep being this person, the menopause guru, right? And putting out these things. And then it comes up to be on TV, and magically, like, there's this magic point where your future self has lined all this stuff up for you and you're ready for that. Like, you're ready to support a lot of people that can come in off of these segments, right?
Right.
And so, but there was a moment in the middle where you could have derailed. I'm going to call it derailed from your future self.
Okay.
And it was, you came to a call and you were like, I have this great idea, right? And I'm going to make, I don't know, it was like some sort of a discount. It was some sort of an interesting discounted. Do you remember this?
No.
Oh, you don't? Oh, it's so funny. You don't remember this because you were super upset with me that day. It was like, I have this great idea and I'm going to offer and do a refer a friend thing and give away some things.
Oh, I was going to put a whole bunch of contests and stuff into Menopause Awareness Month.
That's what it was, right?
Yeah, it was like, how could I build my list and get all these people on it?
Yes.
And yeah, because it would have taken a lot of energy to do all of that, and I wouldn't have necessarily gotten the right people.
Well, and I don't know if you would have gotten anyone, right? Because you wouldn't have been being the menopause guru. Like right now, you are being your future self. You are talking about menopause every single day. You are sharing information. You are sharing and correcting misinformation, and you are showing up as the expert. Somebody who's running a contest isn't showing up as the expert.
Right.
Right? And so I said, no, that's not your future self. And you probably got mad at me for a day instead of a week, like in the past. And, I said, go do this. And I remember coming to like our next coaching call, and I was ready. Like I think I had told something, like I said something to you, like, let's look at the data, because you're a science person. And I had like started some spreadsheets that I was going to track some energy and some momentum, and I was going to put this, and you shut up and you were like, you're right, let's go to work. And
You're right. Yeah, that was pretty funny, actually.
Yeah. And I can't remember if it was that session. And I think I don't think it was that session. What we did was we went back to being your future self, and we went back to the emails that are on the list, because we've been writing, it's now, I feel like you have 14 months worth of topics that there's emails for every month. And so we just went back to those, and it was a couple weeks later, and you were like, oh, or maybe it was a month later, I don't actually remember, I'm going to do Menopause Awareness Month, whether it's on TV or whether I just do it.
Yep.
Which is showing up fully as your future self.
Yep.
Yeah. And then you, of course, got on TV because you were being that person. You weren't waiting to get on TV, because I think in some ways, and this is everybody's, it's this, they think there's this magic thing that if I get on TV and talk about it, all of a sudden inside, I feel like the expert. And I don't know if that was at all going on for you, or it just felt like easier to be on TV than it did to show up on your Facebook page.
Well, I admit, I wrote for one day for them. I wrote a bunch of scripts for them for what to ask me.
Yes.
And then I answered, and then I went down and filmed for one day. So yeah, that was actually a whole lot easier than a month worth of stuff on my Facebook page in terms of
content and time, right? It was easier, right. But I think it felt easier to show up on TV than it did to show up on your Facebook page.
I think it feels more like, oh, I could be an instant star off of TV.
Right. I won't have to.
I'm not sure that. I don't care if I'm an instant star off of TV right now. It's interesting because I realize, okay, hopefully I'll get one of the pieces I put together was I'm going to do a seminar the day after the last appearance on TV. And it's basically going to be a seminar that I've already done for my people. So I'm going to invite them to the seminar. I'm going to invite the public to the seminar through this appearance. And again, it's a gift. Yeah. I'll be talking about how hormones affect us at menopause, and I'm using one of my standard lines: you're not going crazy, your hormones are.
Right. Yes.
So I'll be talking about how the underlying hormones are what's creating all the things that are going on. And what people want to know is that they aren't going crazy and that there's something they can do. That's basically the message that I want to get out there.
Yes, which is so different. Even that you're not going crazy, your hormones are, came of our work of tapping into your future clients.
Right.
And what did they need to know? And what was like one of the most important things you could tell them is like, you're normal. This isn't you. This is your hormones.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I love it. Yeah, you can definitely tell how, because it took us halfway through the interview and I had to bring it up, about how being on TV, it isn't the end all be all anymore, right?
No,
it's just part of what you do as the Menopause Guru.
Of course.
Yes, I love it. And whether you do it on TV or you're doing it on Facebook or you're doing it in a book, it's who you are and what you do.
Exactly.
I love it. Oh man, I had an important TV question. Oh, how is it different that you were on, like, what's different? Like if you had gotten on TV a year ago, like let's say you'd worked really hard, you'd set a really big intention, you put a lot of energy into that. Do you think it would have been as powerful? We haven't seen the impact on your business yet, but in any case, do you think it would have, because they haven't aired. So we'll talk about that next time, but like, do you think it would have had the same outcome, or do you think you would have, what do you think would be different?
I think no matter what the outcome is, if I get one client or 75 clients, I don't know where I put 75 clients, but that's okay. We'll find a place for them.
That's right.
But whether I get one phone call from this or one client interview out of this, or whether I get a whole bunch, I feel like I'm acting in coherence. I'm having a hard time with words today. So I'm in line with who I am, which is the Menopause Guru, which is a person whose primary function, whose primary reason for doing what I do is to help educate women about what's going on. The business is important. And I think that's energetically important as well as simply, financially important. But the real thing that I'm out here to do with this part of my life is to help other women reach into this part of their lives. So education is just as important as attracting clients. And I think I had lost a lot of that.
Yes. And I'm so glad to see you have this and owning it, because this is where the magic is. I have long said it, like whether it is this appearance or it's something that happens down the road, like you stepping into your future self and building this back end of your business for the marketing and to stay connected and to keep educating people every month that are in your space is all setting you up for this big moment with this influx of clients.
Yes.
Yeah.
And most importantly, the clients that come into my world are just another extension of the way that I'm reaching out to help change the world.
Yes. I love it. And on that note, I'm just going to ask you, if someone is, if you're a woman over 35, you should just probably enter Jeanne's world so that, everything is easier as you move forward in your life. So how can someone connect with you?
So you can go to my website, menopause.guru, and there is a contact page there. And if you send me a contact form, that people will make sure that you get the response you need. If you are ready to change your experience of menopause, you can go to menopause.guru/appointment, and it will take you to my calendaring system, and you can set up an appointment with me to discuss what's going on with you and how the work that I do can help you change your experience.
Awesome. I love it. Thank you, Jeanne. Thank you all for being here, and we'll see you next time. Hey, it's Cassie. Just wanted to say a quick thank you for tuning in today and enjoying the magic and story, the power that comes from listening to someone else get what they want. It really opens your mind up for you getting what you want. If you would like more of that and you haven't checked out Manifest It Now yet, I would love you to do so. Search Manifest It Now on your favorite podcast app, and you'll hear me and my friend Jenny talking all things living law of attraction. That's Manifest It Now on any podcast app.
Thank you for joining us on the Law of Attraction Manifesting Success Stories show. To learn more about enrolling in the Enchanted Circle, go to CassieParks.com.